In the event screen, you can create copies of an event so that you don't have to manually add the same event over and over by hand.
But there are two ways to do this. You can clone an event or make it recurring, and each one has its own purpose. Let's talk about both and what you can use them for.
Okay.
Recurring events enable you to create and repeat event that happens at the same time and on the same interval. Recurring events cannot be used for attendance tracking, scheduling, or registrations.
Right. So let's create a recurring event just to demonstrate. Let's pretend that I have a small group that I lead every week, and I want to add this to the calendar so that the administrator knows when the groups are happening so they can recommend people to join these groups.
Okay.
So to do this, I'm going to go to the Events and Attendance screen in my ChurchTrac account, and then click on the date of the small group. So let's just use today as an example. I'll click on today's date, and then I'll enter a title. We'll just keep it really generic, Matt Small Group. And then I can add some more information about this event, like the location, and add it to a certain calendar in ChurchTrac. But to make it recurring, I will scroll down to the additional event options section of this little slide out window. And I'll toggle the make this a recurring event switch. Then I decide the interval, how often I want this to repeat. So let's say I want it to be weekly. I can go all the way up to yearly. I can say I want it every other week, every month, or yearly. And then I'll say what date I want this to end. So we'll say we want to make it recurring up to the 13th, if it's just a short group, or I can even make this all the way to the year 2024 if I want to. And then I can add a description, I can add it to my reminders, but once I'm done, I just click Add Event. And that's it. I just added a recurring event to the calendar.
Okay. All right.
Now, making an event a recurring event is best for when you need an event to repeat, but you don't need any other functionality for that event like attendance tracking. So if you have a monthly task like building maintenance or an event that you just don't need attendance data for, this option is perfect. So let's talk about cloning events.
Cloning events enable you to copy an already created event and then duplicate it. You can clone events that are used for attendance tracking, volunteer scheduling, and registrations.
Okay, so let's use the small group event as an example again here.
Okay.
So let's say I want to track attendance for my small group. What I'll do is just the same as before. I'll click on the first day of that event, give it a title, add some more information about the event, and then instead of saying that I want to make this a recurring event, I want to add attendance data. So I'll click on that attendance and check-in button.
Okay.
And then I'll add whatever attendance tag I'm using to track attendance for this event. In this case, it's this Discipleship Group Adults 1 class. Now that I've applied this attendance tag, if I go back to the calendar and click on that event again, and then scroll back down to the additional event options section, it looks different.
It does.
Yeah, the recurring option isn't even there anymore because I just added the attendance tracking to this event. You can't use recurring events to track attendance. So now I have the option to clone it. So this window pops up and I can decide how often I want to make copies. So I can say I want to create additional copies every week until the 13th of next month. But you'll notice, well, actually, I'll just ask you, how many copies of an event can I make for a clone?
Only 5.
Only 5 instances can be cloned. And the reason why is because we don't want you to make a mistake and then have to correct that mistake dozens of times. So this is to protect you from having to make all of those additional corrections, like if you added the wrong tag or you accidentally left off a tag that you wanted to add for attendance tracking. All right, so I'll include the attendance group tags just to make sure that the attendance tracking is added to each clone. Click Add Events, and there it is. It popped up on the 6th, and I can also check out next month and see it on the 13th. So that's how you clone an event. Now, just to reiterate, a recurring event is seen as a single event that's set to repeat. But a cloned event, what is it? What about a cloned event?
Creates an entirely new event while still retaining the original event settings, times, and locations.
So that's making cloned and recurring events. If you want to learn more about other features in ChurchTrac Events or other parts of the software, go to churchtrac.com/support. You can easily search our entire user guide to find the answers you're looking for in seconds.
Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our Facebook community of ChurchTrac users, just like you in our Facebook group. Bye-bye.